All right, I'm back. Now we're going to finish up lesson 12.4 about combinations. So again, what is a combination? So it's a little different than a permutation. This is where a selection of objects where order does not matter. So again, if I was asking and I said, I want 3 volunteers to come with me on a field trip, and I said, okay, I've got Alex, Lily, and Maddie. And I said, okay, Alex, Lily, and Maddie. But if I said, okay, if I had Lily, Alex, and Maddie, would that be a different set of kids? Clearly not, right? So I'm still only choosing the same 3 kids to go on this field trip. So therefore, this option and this option are not they don't count as 2 separate options. It's the same kids no matter what order I take them in. So unlike a permutation where order absolutely matters, in this scenario, because I'm just asking for 3 volunteers, it doesn't matter which order they volunteer, order does not matter. And we call that a combination. So the first example that I'm going to go through says, count the possible combinations of the 3 letters chosen from the list A, B, C, D, and E. We could sit here and start counting. Like we could say, okay, I want count the possible combinations of 3 letters. So I could go A, B, C, A, B, D, A, B, E, B, C, D, and keep going on and on and on and on and on. That seems pretty tedious. So I think it would be better if we found another way of doing that. So there's a formula, just like there was for permutations, and that's a very similar looking formula. This is the combination formula. And so it's N, which is, again, your kind of total number of, in this case, would be the total number of letters we're looking at. And then how many do you want in your outcomes? So in this case, I want 3 letters in each outcome. So if I was going to do this on my, out by hand, I would write, my example, I would write, there's 5 letters, and I'm going to take them, I want 3 at a time. So I want each outcome to have 3 possible choices. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate the following this formula. So n factorial, well, n in my example is 5. So 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over n minus r factorial. Well, 5 minus 3 is 2, and 2 factorial would be 2 times 1 times r factorial. So in this case, r factorial would be 3 factorial. So 3 times 2 times 1. Now notice, all of this is multiplication here. So if you have any common factors here, you can cancel them out. Like this 3, 2, 1 can cancel with that 3, 2, 1. And so what I'm left with is 5 times 4 on top and 2 times 1 on the bottom, or in other words, 10. So I get 10 possible outcomes if I wanted to go ahead and arrange the letters A, B, C, and D, and E in 3 letter chunks. Those are my possible choices. I just want to show you real quick how to do this on your calculator. Same as the permutation, you're going to find that math button. You're going to arrow over to probability, but this time you're going to pick combination, which is option 3. And so we did 5, and we did 3, and notice my outcome is 10. So you don't have to have a calculator for this. Obviously, it makes it a little bit easier, but you can calculate it by hand. All right, example 4. You choose 3 side dishes out of a list of 8 side dishes. So imagine you're at a restaurant and you get to pick 3 sides. Well, would the order of those side dishes matter? If you picked, French fries, green beans, and coleslaw, would it matter if you picked coleslaw, then French fries, then green beans? Of course not, right? You're still going to get those 3 same sides. So this is how we know it's a combination and not a permutation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and follow our formula. So I have 8 total sides to choose from. It's a combination, and I want 3 at a time. So in other words, I want to choose 3 of them. Well, how many different ways or how many different options can I choose from? So if you remember, the formula said n factorial. So that's 8 factorial. So 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. All over. And then you subtract those 2. So 8 minus 3 is 5. So 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And you multiply it by r factorial, which is 3 times 2 times 1. All right, if you're doing this by hand, you notice that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all of that's in common, so we can cancel each other out. And now you have 8 times 7 times 6, which is 336. I just did that on my calculator. And then 3 times 2 times 1 is 6. And if I divide the 2, I get 56 outcomes. So that means you could have dinner in 56 different ways. Again, let's check our work with our calculator. I'm going to go to math, over to probability, and I'm going to go, what was our numbers? 8 and 3. So I'm going to do 8, arrow over, whoops, arrow over, hit 3. Hopefully I get 56, and I do. All right, the last example I'm going to go through, and then you'll find some similarities. This is about finding probability using combinations this time. So the example reads, you want 20 photos in a collage. Find the probability that your photo and your friend's photo are in the second, are placed at the very top of the page. Okay, so again, find the possible combinations. So in this case, what we're looking for is there are 20 possible choices, right? There are 20 possible pictures. It's a combination. And we want to have 2 choices, I guess, at the top, right? So we have 2 is the, in terms of our possible outcomes, we want 2. So if I do this in my calculator, 20C2, or do it by hand, I get 190. So that means I have 190 possible choices to be able to arrange, 2 pictures. Find the number of favorable outcomes. Well, there's only one way that I can arrange the 2 pictures I want. So it says your photo and your friend's photo are the 2 placed at the top of the page. So if you imagine the top of the page, you got your 2 at the top of the page. So there's one outcome here. And then find the probability. So the probability would be taking the number of favorable outcomes over the number of possible outcomes. So in this case, 1 out of 190. Hopefully this helps, and you can successfully complete your assignments. I encourage you to tune in to any of your teachers' office hours if you have any questions, or email them. All right, guys, thanks.